What's up guys, it's From Chang bringing you another Armored Core 5 Design Corner. Now, I have with me today a blader build. Now, for those of you who played way back during launch, sometimes people would hold what we call blading rooms, basically a battle royale where everyone was using laser blades. The reason was that laser blades in Armored Core 5 are a lot harder to use. In the previous game, Armored Core 4 Answer, laser blades were actually one of the best weapons to use. They would lock on, and when they did, they would propel you halfway across the map and do massive damage when you swing them and you hit your opponent with them. In Armored Core 5, they kind of fixed that problem. Laser blades in this game can no longer lock on. They no longer propel you. Like if you swing a laser blade, you'll just stand still and swing it. You won't move forward at all. So it kind of changed how these weapons are used, and like I said, back then, when the game first came out, we all really thought of it as a novelty build, something you just screwed around with, nothing you could really take seriously. Turns out that's not entirely true, as you know, especially being on the JP server, you see a lot of people just using bladers, not only in ranked but also in conquest, and winning with it. This is because, despite the fact that laser blades in AC5 don't have the same advantage they did in the older games, they're still one hell of a weapon, especially if you know how to use it. Let's go ahead and look right into this build. Alright, so when you're building a blader build, you're going usually only for speed, and you're trying to shave off as much weight as possible and try to be as quick as you can. For head in this one, we've got the Beowulf, again, most commonly used part. Mainly due to the stability computation, 1392 adds a crud load of speed to your build, any build you put it on. For the core, we have the UCR10/L Agni. I equipped that for energy conductivity. It's like the UCR10A at 125, but some people, they go super light, so you see people using Wodan, or I think Ostara, and some of UCR10I, basically the lighter KE cores. You can't use a CE or a TE core because they're quite heavy. You know, CE lightest is 836, heaviest at 1439. So obviously these aren't your first choice, and neither are the TE cores, which are at least at minimum 1,000 weight. So KE core is where everyone goes. For arms, we have the UAM-23I, basically a lighter version of the UAM-23 Animus. A lot less weight, a lot less energy drain, and lower stats overall. But it doesn't really matter because, like I said, for a blader build, you're going for speed. You don't really need any of the defenses, or at least most people don't go for defenses. Another good thing about this arm is that it has dual shoulder units. I'll talk about a little bit about that later when I get to the shoulder. Alright, for legs, we have the ULG-20L. This is I think, the lightweight legs with the highest loading capacity. Yep. And basically you equip this because of the generator used, which is Son, which is pretty damn heavy. If people don't use that, if they don't stack on that much weight, usually see the ULG-09/L legs, because they're the lightest and the fastest of the lightweight legs. For FCS, we have the UFC-10. This is because laser blades don't lock on, so your FCS is completely useless in this case. So why the UFC-10? Basically, it's the lightest and least energy draining. See, there we go. Yep, has the least energy drain at 1498. For generator, here we have the Son, which is the best of the high capacity. Most people use this generator or any of the high capacities because when you're using a blader, you tend to have to use a lot of energy, not only to use your laser blades, because laser blades use energy, but also because you need to do a lot of maneuvering to get into position to get your opponent. And by using something like the Son, which has 200 capacity, that gives you a lot of energy to get in and hit your opponent. And you really need to, get it right the first time, because once you go through that, once you use up your energy, you usually only have one shot to, hit your opponent. Because if you miss, you have to usually back off and wait till your energy regens. And for that, the Son, or the high capacity generator, is usually the best for that purpose. Now for boosters, I have the BT21 Shinatsu equipped. An interesting note here, back then in 1.04, early 1.04, a lot of people used the high power boosters. But as time kind of went on, and especially in 1.05, people have started using the high acceleration Shinatsu boosters. The reason for this is that Shinatsu works really well if you want to glide boost a lot, and what it really does well is precision. It gives you a whole lot of precision to do your maneuvering to get that shot in. Because as I mentioned earlier, you usually have one chance to, hit your opponent. Because if you don't hit them, you're going to be vulnerable to attack. Because you'll be close to them, and then you have to reposition yourself into an angle where you can hit them. So that's why a lot of people use Shinatsu now over the high power boosters. The recon doesn't really matter. It kind of depends on your core. I think the Agni has, let's see, 40. Let's see, has 50 recon. So you could use either EA or ER. It doesn't really matter. All right, so laser blades. Now here we have the ULB-13H. Of all the laser blades, it's the most used. The reason for this, it's got the best combination of stats. It's got good attack power. Base is, let's see, yeah. Base is 6286, but you can get it up to, I think, 7100. It's got really good length. As you can see here, my tuned power, I think this is power tuned. It's got a blade length of 23, which is pretty long, in comparison with the Ambrosia. Only has slightly more. Or the KO425, which only has 12. Or, let's see. Or something like the Moonlight, which only has 17. And it also has a very good interval, which basically determines how quickly you can swing your blade again after you swing it once. Base lock on time, I don't even know why that's included, because blades don't lock on, or at least it doesn't do anything when it locks on. And also, it's got very good energy consumption during use. So what that means is that 2218, that's the amount of energy you use every time you swing the blade. Compare it to some of the other ones. The Ambrosia's got 500 more, KO4 100 more, but it's got 12 less, blade length. Plymouth has a lot less, but it's also quite weaker than this, and shorter, and the blade interval is a lot longer. Another big reason that people use the ULB-13H is the way the blade is shaped, because each of the legs in the game have a different dual blade animation. I can show you right here. With the lightweight, with the lightweight arms, or lightweight legs, the dual blade animation is probably one of the best. If you see here, it starts out as a backstroke, comes up into a pincer, and then goes into an X. As watch here, see, backstroke, pincer, and then cross. It means that it covers a very wide area when that it can cut its opponent in. So even if it's only a glancing blow, it's still going to do damage. And that's the primary reason why people use the ULB-13H with the lightweight legs. And also, as you can see, it's just got the best overall stats. It's got a good combination of them, basically. All right, and then we have the shoulder here, which is the UEA for Izanami Energy Amplifier. Basically what this does is it increases the power and the range of any energy type weapon. So, as you can see here, the ULB 13H has a blade length of 22 and attack power of 6946. Using the energy amp and the dual shoulders, which doubles the effect, you're getting about, let's see, I think 11,000 damage and an extra 10 length. So it's technically doing, with dual amps, 11 to 12,000 damage with 30 blade length. So that means your blades are going to be really long and they're going to be really powerful. A base power blade already has enough damage to overcome any TE defense, and by adding on an energy amplifier, you're basically going for overkill. All right, usually blader builds, especially energy bladers, don't have back weapons, but if they do, they equip pile drivers, usually the Mifang, because it's got the highest. You can get, I think, 57,000 is the highest, and it's really light. But usually you have just 2 blades. Now, as I mentioned earlier, but back then we used to think that this used to be like a novelty build, not something to be taken seriously. But when you get it down and are able to use this build effectively, it's a really good build. It's kind of weak in a few areas. Obviously, defense is fairly easily stunned, and it takes a fair bit of knowledge to know where you need to hit and how you need to hit in order to use it well. There's actually been less people using this build now due to the scan mode change that happened in 1.04. So it's actually a little bit less popular. There's still quite a few people using it, but it's not quite as popular as it was in, say, 1.03. But nonetheless, a fairly good build. And as I mentioned before, if you know how to use it, it's a pretty dangerous build. You can hit, so you can hit in front of you and the side of you, but also if you know how to maneuver, you can also hit behind and above you, which gives you quite a bit of unpredictability. And like I said before, the blade length is pretty long, so you don't have to be right next to them like you would a piler in order to get your hit. And that pretty much sums up this Armored Core 5 Design Corner. If you like this episode, please like the button below and subscribe. And if there's a build that you would like to see me talk about, please let me know in the comments. This is From Cheng, signing out.
Activating